Imagine you're the prime minister of a major European country. It's a Friday night and you decide to go to the movies with your wife. No security detail, no armored cars, just walking down a public street like any other citizen.
That sounds like a recipe for disaster in today's world. Let me guess, this didn't end well?
It ended with a single .357 Magnum bullet in the back. On February 28, 1986, Swedish Prime Minister Olof Palme was murdered on a busy Stockholm sidewalk. It wasn't just a political assassination, it was the moment Sweden lost its innocence.
Wait, the leader of a country was just out for a stroll? In the middle of the Cold War?
To understand why Olof Palme walked around without bodyguards, you have to understand Sweden in the 80s. They saw themselves as the ultimate middle way, peaceful, safe, and radically open.
So Palme wasn't just being reckless? He was making a point about Swedish values.
Exactly. He was a democratic socialist who took bus rides and walked to the cinema. He was incredibly polarizing, though. Internationally, he was a hero to the anti-apartheid movement and a critic of both the US and the Soviet Union.
I'm guessing that list of enemies gave the police plenty of leads to work with.
You'd think so, but the night he died, the police response was a total comedy of errors. They didn't even properly cordoned off the crime scene. Bystanders were walking through the blood, and the police didn't even realize they were looking for a world leader for several crucial minutes.
That's a nightmare. If you don't lock down the scene immediately, you've basically handed the killer a head start.
The investigation quickly became the largest manhunt in history, but it was led by a man named Hans Holmer, who had zero experience with murder cases. He became obsessed with the theory that the Kurdish PKK group did it.
Did he have proof? Or was he just throwing darts at a map of political enemies?
It was mostly darts. He wasted a year raiding Kurdish homes before he was eventually forced out. Then, in 1988, the police finally thought they had their man, Christer Pettersson, a local criminal with a history of violence.
Did they find the gun on him?
No, and that's the problem. The murder weapon has never been found to this day. They convicted him almost entirely because Palme's widow, Lisbeth, pointed him out in a lineup.
But eyewitnesses are notoriously unreliable, especially after a trauma like that. Was it a clean lineup?
Actually, it was a mess. Reports suggest the police told Lisbeth the suspect was an alcoholic, and Pettersson was the only one in the lineup who looked the part. He was convicted, but then acquitted on appeal a year later because the evidence was just too thin.
So for 30 years, the killer is just out there? While the police file cabinet grows to 250 meters of paper?
Precisely. The case stayed open until 2020. That's when the chief prosecutor held a massive press conference to name the Skandia Man, a graphic designer named Stig Engström.
The Skandia Man? That sounds like a corporate mascot, not an assassin.
He worked for the Skandia insurance company right next to the crime scene. He was actually one of the first people the police interviewed that night, but they dismissed him back then as a confused attention seeker.
What changed their minds 30 years later? They must have found DNA or the revolver, right?
That's the kicker. They found nothing new. They just re-examined his old statements and realized he'd lied about everything he did that night. He was in anti-Palm circles. He knew how to use guns, and his clothes matched the witness descriptions.
Let me guess. He wasn't there to defend himself?
Correct. Engström committed suicide in 2000, so the prosecutor basically said it was him, he's dead, the case is closed.
That sounds incredibly unsatisfying. Did the Swedish public actually buy that explanation?
Not really. It felt like a legal check-the-box exercise just to stop spending money on the investigation. To this day, people still obsess over other theories, everything from South African hit squads to a conspiracy within the Swedish police themselves.
It's like the JFK assassination of the North.
Exactly. It changed Sweden forever. Since that night, you don't see Swedish prime ministers walking to the movies alone. They have heavy security now. The murder proved that even the most open society can't protect itself from a single person with a gun.
It also sounds like it gave birth to the whole Nordic noir genre. The idea that there's a dark, corrupt underbelly beneath a perfect surface.
Definitely. Stieg Larsson, the guy who wrote The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, actually spent years trying to solve this case. It's a national trauma that simply won't heal because the ending is so murky.
It's the ultimate cold case, where the police finally just decided it was room temperature. What's the one thing to remember about the Palme assassination?
It remains the world's largest murder investigation that ended not with a guilty verdict, but with a shrug and a closed file.
That's Wikipedia, every story on demand. Search your next topic at wikipedia.ai.